Hey everyone, welcome back to the Grandstand Brief. It's Tom here, and today's episode? A little emotional, a little political, and just cinematic enough to get you hyped for what's next on and off the track. Let's start with a story that genuinely made me smile. Kimi Antonelli shared that Lewis Hamilton left him a personal message when he officially stepped into the Mercedes seat, and he said it filled his heart. Look, in a sport that's often all elbows and ego, this is the kind of human moment we don't get enough of. Antonelli's still just a teenager, stepping into a role that used to belong to the Lewis Hamilton. And for Lewis to leave behind encouragement, that's legacy work. It reminds me of how Seb Vettel used to leave handwritten notes for younger drivers. These small gestures echo far beyond their words. It's Lewis saying, "You've got this, and I'm watching." All right, let's shift gears to something way less warm and fuzzy. The Doohan exit. Hulkenberg, Behrman, and Lawson were all asked about Jack Doohan's sudden ejection from Alpine's driver plans, and they all used the word cutthroat. And yeah, it really is. One minute you're the reserve with momentum. The next, you're out without ceremony. This isn't a sport for the sentimental. But even by F1 standards, the way Doohan's been handled feels cold. Like they never had a long-term plan for him to begin with. It also shows how tough it is for juniors to break through, even if you're talented, professional, and part of a factory program. You're still one meeting away from getting replaced by a name with slightly more buzz, or a sponsor with deeper pockets. And with the grid tightening heading into 2025, expect more moves like this. Fast talent, short leashes. Speaking of the future, Gary Paffett made headlines saying the 2026 F1 rules might make racing more like Formula E. Now I know some people flinched hearing that, but let's unpack what he really meant. The new power unit regulations will focus even more on battery deployment, energy recovery, and torque control, which means drivers will have to manage power output a lot more actively mid-race. That's what Formula E drivers already do constantly. Throttle mapping, energy regen, and strategic battery use. Will that slow F1 down? Not necessarily. But it will change how you race, and maybe even who thrives. Drivers who adapt to this more technical, systems-based driving style? They'll eat. But for others, it'll be a learning curve. I just hope we don't lose too much of the raw, flat-out aggression that makes F1 feel alive. Let's not overcalculate the thrill. Now let's talk about someone who's definitely been in the crossfire of strategy gone wrong. Charles Leclerc. A piece dropped today saying that the lesson from Leclerc's years of radio frustrations is simple. He must start calling the shots. And I couldn't agree more. How many times have we heard the words box, box, are you sure, followed by a pit call that costs him track position or worse? At this point, Charles knows the Ferrari system inside out. If a strategy sounds off, he's allowed to veto it. He's not a rookie anymore. He's a team leader. And the sooner he stops deferring and starts driving the conversation, even mid-race, the better his results will be. Think of how often guys like Alonso or Verstappen override their walls. That's not arrogance, that's control. All right, let's close on something a bit more fun. The final trailer for F1. The movie just dropped. And I gotta say, it looks massive. The on-track shots are cinematic. The APXGP team feels just real enough to trick casuals. And Pitt looks more believable in the cockpit than I expected. I mean, sure, he's not doing Spa Eau Rouge at full tilt, but the edits are tight, the sound is sharp, and the whole thing feels legit. We're a month out from release, and if this thing lands right, it could introduce a whole new wave of fans to F1. And honestly, I'm cool with that. The more people fall in love with the sport, the better. Just please don't turn the grid into a Marvel crossover, all right? So to wrap it up, Antonelli's carrying legacy with class. Doohan's reminder that talent doesn't guarantee tenure. 2026's rulebook might shake up the very way we race. And Leclerc? Time to speak up and steer his own future. That's it for today's Grandstand Brief. What do you think? Are the 2026 changes exciting or concerning? Should Ferrari just let Charles call his own race? And are you hyped for F1 the movie or worried it'll miss the apex? Send me your takes and don't forget to subscribe so we can hang out again tomorrow at the next checkered flag. Catch you then.